Good afternoon. My name is Cheryl Johnson Odom. As Provost and Senior Vice President for Academic Affairs, it is my distinct pleasure to welcome you to the annual Dominican University Academic Convocation. As many of you know, it has been our tradition to gather as a community early in the new academic year to reaffirm as trustees, sisters, faculty, staff, students, and guests our shared commitments to academic excellence, social justice, and Caritas et Veritas. For a fourth consecutive year, an extraordinary symposium has given us an opportunity to renew this tradition. This convocation then serves as a fitting culmination to a day of deep reflection and thought-provoking dialogue about the continuing, in fact deepening, relevance of Caritas and Veritas for us and for our world in the 21st century. Today is also a rare opportunity, 4 weeks into the fall semester, to pause, step back, take stock, to take a page from Chad Roman's talk this morning, and celebrate together as the kind of authentically engaged learning community we aspire to be. Thank you all for embracing this opportunity and for joining us this afternoon. Sarah Gromick, class of 2014, will deliver our invocation. Sarah is majoring in corporate communications with a minor in social justice civic engagement. Having come to Dominican from a small rural community in Michigan, where she grew up raising alpacas, Sarah served as an intern for the Legislative Council of Hong Kong last summer. After graduation, Sarah looks forward to living, working, and volunteering abroad. Please remain standing for the invocation.
Grace to you and peace on this beautiful afternoon. I offer today's invocation in recognition of the many paths through which our students, faculty, staff, and guests find meaning in life. Whether we understand this to be in the mystery of God, in the beauty of nature, in the elegance of science or art, in the acts of service and justice, or in the critical and transformative inquiry at the heart of our educational enterprise, I invite you to open your hearts with me today. Source of all life, known in infinite names, who has spoken to people in all times, we gratefully acknowledge your presence with us here today. Here we have sought and found answers through Caritas and Veritas, so we can live into new questions. Here we have forged deep friendships, so we might reach out to befriend the stranger. Here we have been given glimpses of justice, so we might be troubled by injustice. Here we have argued and debated so we can further the cause of peace. Together, we seek your blessing for what is yet to be. We seek your blessings of imagination and insight for the learning in the year to come, for keen eyes to sense the unexpected opportunity, for curiosity to discern the odd joys embedded in trials, for faithful ears to hear the call to speak truth, for steady obedience to the way of love. For all that has been, we offer thanks. For all that will be, we say yes. Amen.
Amen. Please be seated. It is now my privilege to introduce to you Donna M. Carroll, who is serving in her 20th year as president of Dominican University. That sounds pretty scary, doesn't it?
Colleagues and students,
We gather for the culminating event of a day-long mission-centered dialogue. What an extraordinary profession of institutional meaning and aspirations, anchored by tradition but open to new learning. A profession that aligns well with the recent courageous posture of our still new Pope Francis. Today's Caritas Veritas Symposium, focused on the examined life, has invited us all to be students of the core curriculum, and through that shared experience, to be more conscious of our own lived experience of mission. It seems appropriate, therefore, that I use these brief convocation remarks to identify university-wide questions of being and becoming, of meaning and calling, of mindfulness and wonder that draw their strength from Caritas and Veritas. But first, let me express a few words of gratitude. Please join me in acknowledging current and former Vice Presidents of Mission and Ministry, Claire Noonan and Sister Diane Kennedy, and the members of the Caritas Veritas Symposium Planning Committees for their symposium leadership. Would they all please stand? Would everybody who has presented a symposium program please stand for a round of applause? I extend special congratulations to Chad Roman for his moving plenary speech. Thank you all for your contribution. I deliver these 2013 convocation remarks in honor of Sister Kay Ash, OP, without whose strong endorsement as prioress almost 20 years ago, Rosary College may not have hired its first lay president. You may not all know Kay, but you all know her words. The search for love, for truth, for justice, for God is unending. It takes good companions to persevere at it. In good company, in a community of conviction, the quest never loses its relevance, its urgency, or its savor. So I ask, in honor of Kay and in our continuing quest for truth and love, what are those foundational issues that should anchor the examined university life today and into the future? What are the questions that really matter? And I'd like to pose three. In terms of being and becoming, the big question always, and a concern for some right now, is about Dominicans' continuing commitment to the centrality of the liberal arts and sciences and to excellent teaching and learning. How can we add pre-professional programs with rigorous requirements and still provide a robust core curriculum? Some ask. Will blended and online learning compromise the intimacy of the classroom? Why should we give in to external pressure to address career outcomes? A wise Dominican sister once told me that a Veritas-centered institution seeks out new challenges as a way of refreshing the vitality of its core mission. So perhaps the question worthy of examination is actually, how do we embrace change and at the same time preserve and strengthen our core commitments to liberal arts and sciences and to excellent teaching? What is the both and, in other words? In terms of meaning and calling, then, my second foundational question is about diversity. It was said at a recent planning committee that we cannot make significant headway on our strategic diversity goals until we understand the value proposition that aligns excellence and diversity. I agree, and then some. We need to think of engaging diversity as a fundamental tenet of our contemporary liberal education. And yet, for a Catholic Dominican university, the challenge of strategic diversity leadership runs even deeper. As we have said before, what's love got to do with it? We are the descendants of Dominic, and we're called together to be agents of loving justice in this increasingly diverse and fractured world. Which brings me to my third issue in need of attention.
That is shared governance. Once upon a time, we, the faculty and staff, could all gather in the same room at the same time to make decisions about mission and curriculum and justice. The sense of ownership was profound. As Dominican University grows, as the diversity of our interests expands, as the pace of change in higher education accelerates, avenues for shared governance are more difficult to navigate, but they still provide the best direction. The question is, how do we remain mindful of and committed to collaborative decision-making and yet be sufficiently nimble to respond to opportunities in this fast-paced world? At a recent President's Cabinet meeting, we discussed the importance of well-articulated priorities, good business practices, and clear communication as context for governance, both shared and representative. This is a pivotal year for Dominican University, academically, financially, and strategically. We have all the ingredients of even greater success: high standards, healthy core enrollments, strong outcomes, and the respect of our academic peers and the community. Then again, the challenges of the graduate professional market are relentless. Faculty and staff are working harder than ever before, and still economic realities and rewards are unpredictable. As we venture forward strategically, therefore, it is important to keep in mind the lesson learned in freshman seminar about meaning and calling, about embracing change and renewing core values, and about the importance of community. I am confident in the future of Dominican University because I am confident in Caritas and Veritas and our commitment to the examined life. I should mention in closing that I received an email from Sister Kay Ash the other day, recognizing my 20th year as president. I read it last night looking for inspiration. What I discovered instead was affirmation for the liberal arts and sciences, the social justice mission of the university, and for the collaborative nature of Dominican life. It is a privilege to lead a community of such thoughtful colleagues and in the service of such a vibrant mission. Thank you.
I am now pleased to introduce two people: the Dean of Rosary College of Arts and Sciences, Dr. Jeffrey Carlson, and a Black World Studies and Pastoral Ministry major from Rosary College, Megan Graves, to present the 2013 Sister Mary Clementi Davlin Diversity Leadership Award. Megan is a Schmidt Scholar and serves Dominican as a resident assistant, a peer advisor, a peer minister, and as student trustee. She has studied in Ghana and China and looks forward to graduating this year and continuing her discernment with the Cincinnati Dominican Sisters.
On behalf of this year's selection committee, it is our privilege to present an award named in honor of one of the most beloved and esteemed colleagues, Sister Mary Clementi Davlin, Professor of English Emerita, and passionate advocate and activist for a more just and humane world, who's sitting right there, and I hope she would stand up now. Each year since 2003, through the Sister Mary Clementi Davlin Diversity Leadership Award, Dominican has celebrated the work of an individual who has helped the university community truly engage difference and promote justice in sustained, visible, creative, and transformational ways. Past recipients include Robbie Birdsong Wright, Mark White, Janice Monty, Madonna Thalen, Hugh McElwain, Krista Hansen, and in 2012, Christina Perez. The recipient of the 2013 Sister Mary Clementi Davlin Diversity Leadership Award is Professor Kathy Heskin. Kathy, please join me.
At the heart of ministry is relationship. And at Dominican University, Professor Kathy Heskin is that heart. A graduate of Rosary College, Heskin received a master's degree of divinity from Loyola University and her doctor of ministry from the University of St. Mary of the Lake. Kathy Heskin has dedicated a large portion of her life and an extraordinary amount of her energy to helping the Dominican community understand, appreciate, and ultimately respect the cultural heritage of the Native American people. For the past 15 years, Professor Heskin has taught a course on Native American spirituality and culture in the theology department, a course that culminates with a 2-week service trip to Native American reservations in Wisconsin, South Dakota, and Montana. I have taken this amazing trip twice. As a group, we visited the many sacred places of the Native people. We worked on service projects, such as conducting workshops about the ecosystem with school children and teenagers of the Blackfeet Reservation and the Rocky Boy Reservation on the Canadian border. And because of the deep regard in which the Native people hold her, Dominican students have had the unique opportunity to participate in rituals such as the pipe ceremony and the sweat lodge. This community-based learning trip allows students to hear and see the perspective of the Native people, a perspective that has been silenced and forgotten about throughout American history. Therefore, this has been a fuel for me to advocate for social justice within our world. I myself have known Professor Heskin even before I was admitted into Dominican University. I attended her sacraments course as an overnight high school student, and as soon as she walked into the class, I knew that I wanted to become a pastoral ministry major. She has provided me with the lenses of compassion that have allowed me to look deeply within the world around me and within myself as well, a literal example of the examined life. She has challenged me to examine social injustices that plague our world and to think critically about how I may be a catalyst for social change. As she has always taught her students, we do not serve to or for, but with one another. Professor Heskin was recently honored with a spirit name, Basweweke, which translates as resounding echo woman, a name that not only embodies the respect of the Native Americans and the respect that they have for her, but also the lasting impact that she has had on her students. Professor Heskin has lit the flames of truth and compassion within so many people, especially her students. For me, it has been an honor to be under the guidance of Professor Heskin over these past 4 years. She has been one of the greatest foundations in my life. I am proud to call her teacher, mentor, and most of all, friend. Because Kathy Heskin continues to transform our learning community and our world through her passionate and principled activism, scholarship, and teaching, and because she challenges each of us to become more just and more humane, Dominican University is proud to present her with the 2013 Sister Clementi Davlin Diversity Leadership Award.
It is apparently too heavy for me to hold, so thank you, Jeffrey, and thank you, Megan. Ani nijuag, nindigenikas paswewekwe, ajijak dodum, means Greetings, my friends. My name is Resounding Echo Woman, and my clan is Crane. And apparently there's a crane up here on the stage with me, and I think I know where it came from. When I first came to Dominican, it was Rosary at the time, as a teacher, one of the first persons to make me welcome was Sister Clemente Davlin. She has a grace and a presence that was compelling, and she is an outstanding teacher and mentor and friend. I wanted to be like her. And I remember when the seminars first began, one of the great gifts for the teaching faculty in the seminars was the sharing of expertise. We shared our best practices. We listened to people who knew about the discipline that was part of the core texts, and we taught each other. Sister Clemente taught us how to teach Shakespeare, and I wanted to be like her. When I was invited by the theology department to teach Catholic social teaching, I remembered the history of the Sinsinawa Dominicans, the history that was so beautifully demonstrated in the movie that Jamie Visser put on this morning. Their commitment to justice, their willingness to take a stand. And outstanding among these women is Sister Clemente Davlin. And again, I wanted to be like her. So to receive an award with her name on it is probably the greatest honor I could receive. And I thought about it, and I realized that there are probably two reasons why I was chosen for this award. Anybody who knows me knows that I have limitless enthusiasm. I'm enthusiastic about everything, including grocery shopping. I'm also willing to trust the Holy Spirit and to say yes to mystery. So those are the two things I want to talk to you about today, particularly the freshmen who are beginning their journey here at Dominican and the seniors who will be taking our mission out into the world this year. First, enthusiasm. Every day is an opportunity. It's an opportunity to try something new, to make mistakes and learn from them, to discover more about the earth, about others, and about myself. To grow, to become whole. Each person I encounter has something to teach me if I only listen with my heart as well as my ears. I love teaching and learning. I can't believe I get to do what I love every day of my life. In my classrooms, my students are my best teachers. When they grapple with questions, when they put together their insights into research projects or papers that they give me, I am enriched. Their ideas and their insights have taken me in so many different paths. We are blessed to have such a diverse student population. This semester, I'm teaching the sophomore seminar, and there's a common text that we use by Diane Eck, and it reminds us to embrace our differences. It reminds us to move past tolerance to acceptance of differences and to seek the common ground. In a place like this, there are so many opportunities to hear of other cultures, other belief systems, other ways of seeing and being. In our daily encounters, in our classrooms, and in the wonderful lunches that we get to share, I approach those encounters with enthusiasm, and I hope you do too. The second reason I mentioned is that I am willing to follow the call of the Holy Spirit. I have rarely been prepared for anything I've ever been asked to do. The events, the tasks, the jobs that I have done, I wasn't ready to do them when I was asked, but that never stopped me. When you're on a journey and God is your co-pilot, you trust, and you will be able to do things that you never dreamed of doing. I often tell my students I'm in my 6th career. I started out in nursing. I did secretarial administrative work. I was in politics. My husband and I had a business. I did consulting, and now for the last 20 years I've been teaching. Each phase, each piece of my life has been fascinating, and each piece built upon the last. Having a liberal education, my undergraduate degree is from Rosary. has enabled me to learn new ways of being in the world and to be able to accept and meet new challenges. I began high school, this will tell you something, in 1960. I began college in 1964. It was an exciting and a challenging time to be studying. It was a time when social patterns and proscribed ways of living were being challenged at every corner. Even the music we listened to challenged us to take an active part in changing the world. There's a line from a song that has always been one of my favorites. The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. And if I believe that, I need to listen and to seek wisdom. My question for you is, what are the answers in the winds that blow around you today? What are the social patterns? What are the ways of being that only you can help to change? You have to listen, and you have to be ready to say yes when you hear that answer. One moment when the Holy Spirit changed my life happened here at Dominican. Our oldest son, Tom, was a student here, and he hadn't had great success in school because of learning disabilities. Sister Lori Brink, one of our Dominican sisters, loved him, saw great potential in him, potential we knew about, but he did not. And she created the Montana trip for him and another student, Sandy, I think it's Milovanjevic, but I like to say it fast. It was a life-changing event for Tom. He was her intern the next year, and he helped teach the third year. And then she was leaving Dominican. She came to me and asked if I would teach the course, Native American Spirituality. I had every reason to say no. I'd never met a Native American person. I'd never driven west of Minneapolis by myself. And here I was to drive 4,300 miles in a van with kids. I had never camped without my husband and our 3 sons, so I didn't even know how to put up a tent. On the other hand, I really wanted students to have the experience that our son Tom had. I really wanted them to see the world of the Native people, see the world through the eyes of the Native people. And so I said yes. And that first trip, I was terrified. I don't think I ever let go of the steering wheel. But I learned along the way. I read everything I could, I met people who could teach me, and we built relationships. I was invited to take part in ceremonies, and I listened to the wisdom of elders so that I could be an effective teacher. The trip has grown over the years to incorporate community-based learning. And every year in late fall, I contact the elders on the reserves to which we will be traveling, and I find out what they are focusing on that year. In my class, I incorporate their projects so that our students can assist the people in the work they are doing. One year, the nutrition department helped us write a cookbook for seniors with diabetes. Large print, I appreciate it now. Over the years, the Field Museum, Morton Arboretum, and Forest Preserve have sent people to us to help my students to learn about the environment, about ecology. And the students then put together great resources, workbooks and lesson plans and other experiences to take out to the children on the reservations. We travel to Pine Ridge. We spend time with the Native elders and with the teachers, and we learn about the history of the Lakota people in South Dakota. We visit Wounded Knee, the memorial to the massacre there. We camp in the Black Hills. We travel to Browning then to work with the Blackfeet people and the children of the De La Salle School. We camp at the glacier and then head to Rocky Boy, as Megan said, a small reservation on the Canadian border, where again we share our project with the children, meet, share meals, share ceremonies with the others there, and we have always had the gift of participating in a sweat lodge on Rocky Boy. Because I said yes to mystery, I have had an amazing life. I have made deep and lasting friendships and become more of who I am. And all of this, surprisingly enough, has led me to something else. I am adopted. About 7 years ago, I had cancer, and I wrote to the adoption agency asking if they had any medical information for me. Well, they did not, but they sent me information about my biological parents, and I found out that I am Native American. I began to understand the call and the response in my life to that spirit blowing in the wind. It is a great joy for me today to accept this honor and to share it with the people who helped make it happen. My husband, Neil, has driven to the mound to pick up the bread, set up the tables, put together Excel spreadsheets of all you people who buy bread. He has helped me shop, he has helped me pack the vans, and sent me off on 15 trips. And he has accompanied me on 3, which were the best of all. Our son, Tom, the reason this Montana trip came to be, is here with his wife, Heather, and their 3 sons, Justin, Mason, and Colin. And they are really the people for whom I work, so that they can have a better world to grow up in. And 2 of my Anishinaabe teachers are here today, Star Brissett and Miles Goddard. They are the first 2 elders I was privileged to meet, and they've mentored me and guided my studies these last 15 years. Thank you to them and to all of you for choosing me for this honor.
Tearjerker, loving tears. The Dominican University community is committed to developing in its students intellectual vitality, moral alertness, aesthetic sensibility, and a sense of social justice and responsibility. In recognition of this goal, in 2001, Dominican University commissioned the Bradford O'Neill Medallion for Social Justice, named in honor of Sister Vincent Farah Bradford and Sister Thomas Aquinas O'Neill, 2 pioneering Cincinnati Dominican sisters. Medallion recipients are local, national, or international figures or organizations whose lives and work have contributed significantly to the creation of a more just and humane world. The 2013 Bradford O'Neill Medallion is presented to Sister Carol Keenan, DC. Sister Carol, please come forward. Sue Secker, Rosary College class of 1967, Dominican University trustee and director of mission leadership at Providence Health Services in Mission Hills, California, will read the citation. Sue?
Sister Carol Kean has been a passionate proponent for the right of all people to have access to health care, regardless of their economic circumstances, ever since she was a nurse at the beginning of her career. Today, as President and Chief Executive Officer of the Catholic Health Association, Sister Carol represents the thousands of Catholic hospitals, nursing homes, surgical centers, and clinics across the country that care for almost 1/6 of all Americans. Her experience as a healthcare practitioner and administrator has given her the credibility to serve as the ultimate authority on Catholic healthcare. Throughout her esteemed career, she has advocated for the poor, the vulnerable, and the marginalized. Born in Providence Hospital in Washington, D.C., a facility that would play a prominent role throughout her life, Sister Carol joined the Daughters of Charity after seeing them in action during her nursing training. She returned to Providence a few decades later to serve as the hospital's vice president. During her 15-year tenure, the hospital opened a 240-bed home, a new operating wing, and neighborhood clinics serving poor families and pregnant women and their infants. Sister Carol took over leadership of the Catholic Health Association in 2005. Following her appointment, she was quoted as saying that while a Catholic hospital has to be concerned with the same things as any other hospital, namely quality and efficiency, it also has to provide care with a commitment to ensuring that all patients are treated with the dignity they deserve as children of God. Sister Carol has used her role with the Catholic Health Association to champion healthcare reform as a moral as well as economic imperative. She exhaustively advocated for the Affordable Care Act as a means of changing the expansive maze that is our healthcare system. And she remains confident that we, as a nation, can create a just and compassionate system that will address the needs of nearly 50 million people who continue to lack any meaningful health insurance coverage. In 2010, Sister Carol was named one of Time magazine's 100 most influential people in the world, and she has consistently appeared in Modern Healthcare's list of 100 most influential people in healthcare. Her numerous awards include the American Hospital Association's Trustee Award, the Pro Ecclesia et Pontifice bestowed by Pope Benedict XVI, the Cardinal Joseph Bernardin Award from Catholic Common Ground Initiative, and the 2009 Vision Award from Catholic Charities United States of America.
In recognition of the many and masterful ways that you and the Catholic Health Association empower people affected by social injustice and economic inequities across the country, always fostering empathy, integrity, accountability, health of body and soul. Through Caritas and Veritas, Dominican University is honored to present to you Sister Carol Kean with the 2013 Bradford O'Neill Medallion for Social Justice. Please join me in welcoming.
Thank you so much. It is always an interesting time for me when I get introduced and people point out that Time magazine, one of the 100 most influential people in the world. It does sound kind of classy until you really look close. It's me, Lady Gaga, 2 or 3 dictators. It is not the communion of saints. But anyway, I am truly honored to be here and to receive this medal. Dominican University has a history that is enviable on many fronts: scholarship, social justice, and the arts, to mention only a few. Let me also thank you for choosing to focus this year on healthcare, and especially at this juncture. This is an important moment for our nation. Legitimately, much has been made over the shrinking middle class. And as we emerge from our severe recession, it appears that the top 5% have done well. But middle-class families have lost ground, and those living in poverty have really lost ground. Just last week, the census report was released, showing real median household incomes over the past 5 years have declined 8.3%. It also reported that we have 48 million uninsured in this country. 6.6 million of them are children. Give me any kind of a good excuse for a child not having insurance. When you see the reports that over 50% of personal bankruptcies in our country are due to health expenses, and you see the Institute of Medicine's report that there are 18,000 unnecessary deaths each year because of a lack of medical care, it is clear that we cannot fix this nation's economic problems unless we dramatically improve its health policy. Even more compelling than that is the human suffering and the stress behind these statistics. Think of the parent that has to choose between filling a prescription for his child's asthma and feeding the rest of the children until payday. The terror of parents without insurance when a child has a cancer or heart disease. The tragedy of a young mother who could not seek diagnostic studies for blood in her urine and now has advanced metastatic cancer. Look at the statistics for abortion. Reportedly in the United States, they're down 8% overall, but up 18% in women who are poor. It's not hard to understand why these women feel they have no choice. These examples I give you are not unique exceptions. They are the daily reality in so many families in our nation. They are not from the lazy who want to sponge off society. They are the everyday people who wait on us, grow our food, and often carry more than one job. Let me be clear, I love this country, but it is not the hallmark of a great nation to be the only industrialized country in the world that does not give all its citizens health care. It is not reflective of the genius of this nation to still spend twice per capita what other industrialized nations spend on health care and yet leave 48 million without insurance and have health care quality and satisfaction statistics that lag behind the statistics of every other industrialized nation in the world. So I come to you today to say getting health reform right is a great service to this nation and to its economy. We have the ability to lower costs, improve quality, and make a huge dent in the number of uninsured. When you think of what that will mean in the lives of our fellow citizens, it is even more compelling. Catholic social teaching is so clear on this issue. Whether you're looking at Pope John XXIII, Paul VI, John Paul II, Benedict, or now Pope Francis, all have spoken with great clarity on the imperative of health care for all and the injustice of a society that does not provide it. As Catholics, we have a special responsibility to share these teachings and insights with the society we live in. We also have a gospel call to hear the cry of the poor, to let our hearts be so touched that we will not passively accept this any longer. Now, lest this talk resemble an Old Testament prophet raving, let me give you a little good news. We can and we will make a huge difference in the lives of the people of our nation in this coming year. In fact, we've already made a huge difference in the lives of so many people. Since the passage of the Affordable Care Act, or the ACA, seniors have saved over $7 billion in drug expenses, and we are closing that donut hole that was so problematic for them. And millions of them have now been able to get their preventive screenings without any copay. Economists are pointing out to their surprise that healthcare costs are now going up only at the level of general inflation, whereas between 2000 and 2007, they went up 65%. Young adults struggling to find jobs have been able to stay on their parents' plans until they were 26. Millions of Americans with serious chronic conditions have been liberated from the worry of insurance denials for pre-existing conditions and the artificial cap on medical expenses. As I'm sure you know, October the 1st begins open enrollment for the marketplaces or insurance exchanges and the expanded Medicaid program. You have certainly been subjected to incredible amounts of information and misinformation about this. As someone whose middle name sometimes seems to be ACA, let me say this is not a perfect bill. It's not the bill I would have written or the bill anybody else would have written. It is, however, a good start on the journey to a rational, socially just, and economically sound healthcare delivery system. It has the ability to almost completely insure all the women in our country under 65, if completely implemented. It would also provide, if completely implemented, insurance for up to 30 million Americans, 30 million of the 48 who have nothing now. This not only responds to a profound human need, but economically makes great sense for everyone else because it will greatly reduce the cost subsidy businesses and individuals are now bearing when these people have to come and get health care and can't afford it. The law has the potential to help make our healthcare system more just, more respectful, and caring of the dignity of each person. It is, however, no walk in the park. There will be bumps in the road, unintended consequences, frustrations, particularly dealing with states and legislators who are adamant not to give this help to those who need it so much. We must be examples of committed and patient leaders as we work through this major step in our nation to a better, more just, and more loving America. Thank you so much. I'm so honored.
Thank you so much, Sister Carol, for delivering to us on a day that we have earmarked for reflection such a beautiful rationale for why we need a health care plan. And thank you also for your advocacy and activism in helping to make it a reality. Today's Caritas, Veritas Symposium has not been designed as an end itself. Rather, all of the presentations and panels have intended to reignite campus-wide reflection, dialogue, and action, and ground us in deeper understanding and exploration of our core values. All of us now share responsibility to sustain and extend our reflection, conversation, and activism throughout the academic year and beyond. We especially want to encourage all Dominican students, both undergraduate and graduate, to remind each other and your teachers of what matters most to you, both within classrooms and within your communities. Challenge us to challenge and support you in your explorations and discoveries. Look for new ways to become or continue to be truly engaged in the life of the mind and the spirit. Consider submitting some of your best written work to the Constellation, a journal for undergraduate research launched last year with the name Father Mazzucchelli, a gifted astronomer, would have appreciated. Or get involved in any campus organization related to your personal gifts, values, and passions. Today has been a reminder to risk contemplation, conversation, and action in whatever context is most meaningful to you.
Before we conclude this convocation, I ask all students who are beginning their studies at Dominican University this year, and all students who will complete their studies at Dominican this year, to stand and be recognized by our applause. We bless them as they pursue new futures and wish them vision and courage as they discern their personal call to participate in the creation of a more just and humane world.
Please rise as we join together with Sue Kaczynski to sing our alma mater, So Proudly Dominican. Immediately following the alma mater, please remain standing for the benediction offered by Claire Noonan, Interim Vice President for Mission and Ministry.
See Let us pray. Blessed are you, source of all life. We offer thanks this day for the wonder of love and the marvel of truth at the heart of the universe and in the depth of each soul that you have created. We praise you for the eruptions of grace, the unexpected surprises, the powerful testimonies, the deep listening, and the great joy that we have experienced today. May these gifts fuel our practice of mindfulness, our pursuit of truth, and our strivings to love as the year unfolds before us. Confident in your everlasting mercy, we ask your gracious blessing, most especially upon our students in their final year of study at Dominican University. May they hear clearly and respond wholeheartedly to your call to love. And may your gift of peace descend upon all of us and hold us together in Dominican joy. And let the community say together, Amen. Amen.
Thank you all for joining us at this convocation and for your engagement throughout today's Caritas Veritas Symposium. May this week's communal pause from the routines of university business as usual inspire us all to renew our shared commitment to becoming active agents in the process of creating a more just and humane world and not merely passive inhabitants of the world as it is. Please remain in your seats until the stage party and faculty have exited the auditorium.